the 24th. Is she gonna be there? I'm gonna be on playing recording again, right? I'm gonna get an autograph. Maybe a picture too. Be insane. They're usually on the sides. Yeah, I don't want to talk to them.
We welcome you back to the 2024 Coachella Valley Invitational from the historic Empire Polo Club in Indio, California. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Day 2 of this preseason tournament, getting ready for the MLS regular season at the end of February, just a couple of weeks from kicking it off for real, and Day 2 gives more opportunity to see these teams continue to grow. My name is Jake Levy, joined by Glenn Crooks, as we bring you New York City FC taking on the Portland Timbers. And Glenn, the second time we get to see NYCFC this week. Last week, or on Wednesday, they got a couple of goals, then they sat for a scoreless second half, but learned a lot about this NYCFC team on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think the 2-2 result, you didn't see many of those a season ago, so they're happy with the 2 goals. Their striker, Monsef Bakrar, got a goal. Their attacking midfielder, Santi Rodriguez, got a goal. And although it was serendipity for Bakrar as a player slipping broke him in on goal, he did finish the opportunity, missed another one from close range that should have made it 2-0. And you think about the games a season ago, and it was those sorts of misses that sometimes came back to haunt them.
But they got a couple of good, solid finishes. They were able to take a lead, then they gave up the lead. They fell behind, were able to come back from behind. And you talk about finding a way to win, even though it was a preseason game. They still found themselves down, Glenn, were able to come back. That's an important part of what they're trying to put together in New York as well.
You saw a picture there of Eric Miller in the Portland uniform first, and now James Sands. Miller, formerly with New York City FC, spent the 2019 season with them under Dome Torrent. Did an admirable job both as a fullback, occasionally came into the middle, especially in a 3-back system. But he'll be starting today for Portland on the left side.
He'll give you a look at the full starting lineups here as you get a look at Portland in their huddle in the all-green kits with the white numbers. Their goalkeeper, Maxime Krapau, in yellow. And we'll give you a look at their back line. Jaden Jones-Riley, a call-up from their Timbers 2 squad in the outside back position. Zach McGraw and Kamal Miller, along with Eric Miller, a supplemental player along the back line. They have Eric Williamson. Diego Chara will be their captain today. Santiago Moreno, a U22 initiative player. And then mixing up top, Evander, Anthony, and Felipe Mora. Give you a look at that New York City FC starting 11 in just a moment as we're about set to kick things off. A color rush here today with the green kits for Portland, the light blues for New York City. You see there the feet of Malachi Jones. We saw him at the tail end of the second half on Wednesday. Now he gets the start. That'll be fun to see him get some run and see that pace that we've heard so much about from Nick Cushing as we are underway here on day 2 in Indio, California.
Yeah, that's the only change to the starting 11 for New York City. Malachi Jones in place of Tyler Magno. Magno, he didn't play a lot in Florida the first leg of preseason for New York City due to a minor undisclosed injury. But he is back and has passed his physical test. He started the last match, but they're taking it a bit easy on Magno in the early going. But Malachi Jones, maybe off that performance, earning the start today for New York City.
He joins Monsef Bakrar and Hannes Wolf up top. Keaton Parks, James Sands, Santi Rodriguez in the midfield. And then, as Glenn said, the rest is all the same. Kevin O'Toole and Mitja Ilinic in the back. Diago Martins and Burke Risa both in the middle of that defense as well.
One thing Nick Cushing said prior to the match, as you get a look at Kevin O'Toole starting at left back for the second consecutive game. He's ahead of Christian McFarlane right now at that left back spot, no question about it. Kevin O'Toole said prior to the season on a pod that I host with Roberto Abramowitz, NYCFC Views, we had him on as a guest, and he said that pretty much he felt it was his spot to lose. And that's the way he's going into it. And he's going to try to do everything in his power to keep that left back spot. But Nick Cushing said that he's going to push some players to 90 minutes today. And Hannes Wolf, a guy we really want to get a close look at, played only a half hour in that San Jose game. He's going to play an hour today. And again, these plans are all based on if somebody gets a little knock, if they don't look quite right, they're still, you can always deviate for the plan.
There's wiggle room, as they say. As Portland will try to build up the left side. Mora gives it back. So Matt Freese, who made some really nice saves in that first half on Wednesday. Pretty big set piece opportunity right off the bat for San Jose on Wednesday. And then Freese made the big save and had a few of them in that first half and gets the opportunity to start once again here against Portland as Evander tried to build that up, but nothing doing.
Well, Evander, the 25-year-old, the Brazilian, coming off a good year. He's a designated player as of December. 9 goals, 5 assists in 23, and he's expected to do big things creating out of the midfield for Portland.
Had a chance there, leaves it towards the middle. They'll flip it to the right side. They've got Moreno. Moreno leaves it for Jones-Riley and tried to draw a deflection but cannot. So they try the overlapping run and build a bit of attacking pressure, but nothing comes of it in the first build-up for Portland.
And between Evander and Santiago Moreno, Jake, those are two players sitting with an assistant, Dave Vandenberg, yesterday, who just came on board a couple of weeks ago with Phil Neville. But those are two players. He's observed them as an assistant with New England, but also now with him in training every day, just dynamic, explosive attacking players. And Moreno has signed an extension, and a guy who maybe struggled at times under Gio Savarese, the former coach, hoping to prosper under Phil Neville.
That gets knocked out for a corner kick in the first set piece opportunity for New York, as they push numbers into the box after Portland had their first inch forward. See what NYCFC can do. Headed away. Chance for a recycled entry here. They'll pull it all the way back as far as Sands to restart the attack. Parks into the middle. And that dumped away from him. Rodriguez trying to turn through. Risa. Sands. They try to play straight up the middle that time. Portland ready for it.
That's a major point of what is being worked on with Monsaf Bakrar, the number 9. He's a striker, and it's back of goal hold-up play. And you saw that entrance in from James Sands. Bakrar, there was pressure on him, had pressure on his back, but those are ones that if you're not going to lay the ball off or turn, you have to keep possession in order to allow players to come in around you.
Rodriguez a bit worse for wear after he lunged in to try to make that tackle high up the field. Does wind up winning possession back for his side as Park sets it back for Risa. Now they can inch higher with O'Toole. For Jones if he's onside, but the flag is up.
Boy, there's something refreshing in this Coachella Invitational. Without VAR,
no delayed
the
offside.
Assistant referees are calling offside when it's offside, or if it's not, or even if they're uncertain, leave it down. It's okay.
Yeah, you almost wonder if they're very tight in these situations if the referees let it play on, not for VAR purposes, but just for the game experience reasons. Although these referees like to get it right, too, as you know.
Yeah. Well, at least we know, at least for now, they will not have to be dealing with the blue card. The blue card was discussed by IFAB, and now there was going to be a trial in some of the maybe lower leagues. And it was interesting in our game the other day when Alfredo Morales dragged down Malachi Jones, who's in the starting 11 today. That would have been a 10-minute penalty or violation. Alfredo Morales would have been summoned off the field with a blue card because part of it was dealing with preventing counterattacks with cynical fouls, and that's exactly what that was the other day as Keaton Parks is struggling. Or is that Micha Ilinic?
Looked
That's
like
Ilinic,
Ilinic.
yeah.
How do you feel about the blue card, Glenn?
No. Well,
Easy answer.
Many have heard Jurgen Klopp's comments and Ange Postecoglou, Klopp at Liverpool, Ange at Tottenham, and both said similar things. If you do go down a player, you're going to do everything you can to kill off that 10 minutes. So you're slowing the game down. It's really taking away from the fan experience. And also, if you're down a player for 10 minutes, you're likely maybe to get more players behind the ball. Just play a low block. And that takes away from the attractive nature of the game because the intent is to add more creativity and more attacking presence. And I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll. I know what I would do as a coach, especially if you're up 1-0 or if it's level and a draw on the road would help you. I would just be very secure.
On the other side, though, you can't make tactical changes based off of it because once you kill off those 10 minutes, you're back to even strength. It just creates a different enigma as part of the game as a whole, you'd imagine.
Well, Christina Unkel, who is a former FIFA referee and is now an analyst. Actually, she's also the president of Tampa Bay United in the new Super League, the USL Super League on the women's side. But she made a comment that let's take the Malachi Jones being dragged down by Alfredo Morales. She said that's taking away a goal-scoring opportunity. So if we instill the blue card, it'll prevent those sorts of fouls and we'll get more play onto goal. But I agree that could be the case, but I think there are too many negatives to go along with the positives.
You also see players willing to take red cards at times to avoid conceding goal-scoring opportunities.
Well, it's a yellow card or a red. Let the official make the call. The referees, by the way, it seems like there's a vote this weekend, and all signs point to avoiding a strike by the Professional Referees Association. They've been in negotiations with Pro. And Tom Bogert was on the NYCFC pregame live with me today earlier, and he's the one that, along with Pablo Maurer, has been following that closely. So it looks like it's going to work in the favor of these teams to have the best officials available.
Rodriguez into the box. Just a bit too tall. Then the whistle comes, and earlier on that breakout there,
well, the
Glenn,
PK was called. And Maxime Crépeau is discussing the call with Keaton Parks. Parks smiling a bit.
See if we can have another look at, maybe it was, based on the arm language, a handball that was called. It was a rather innocuous setup.
Well, this is what's a handball? Well, we're going to get a look at it. Well, we were not able to see it. Parks was kind of blinding our ability to see it. Nonetheless, not much hesitation for the referee. There was an appeal for New York City. Not sure if that impacted his call, but
now Santi Rodriguez to give New York City FC the lead. Rodriguez buries it. His second of this invitational, and New York City FC, for the second time in as many matches, takes an early lead. Calm and composed as you like there, Glenn.
No, it's a good finish off the PK by Santi, who also is the free kick specialist for New York City. He's trying to improve on those numbers. New York City hasn't scored a direct free kick goal since Gudi Torarensen in 2021 at Atlanta, which was part of the acceleration to their first MLS Cup. But Santi Rodriguez, he's counted on in those situations. And New York City winning the ball off of pressure, getting it back into the face of goal against Portland.
And that whole sequence started with Malachi Jones getting high enough to prevent that breakout, led to a knockaround that eventually led to that PK. So great to see Malachi Jones get involved there on the press, and it turns into a goal-scoring opportunity.
Well, the press, the triggers, the visual cues, that's one of the important things for New York City to develop, as they are holding a higher line defensively, and it's risky, and there are going to be a lot of man-to-man situations off the counterattack that the two central defenders in particular for New York City are going to have to deal with, because every now and then a team is going to break that press.
Jones-Riley leaves a little to be desired on the cross in after a good build-up on the wing. He and Moreno overlapping again. That's been both of the build-ups. It does at least lead to a set piece here, it appears. It'll be a corner for Portland. Here's the insert. did find a green jersey, still alive in front. And eventually, the offside flag comes up. So Anthony, who was at that back post, winds up getting a touch from an offside position. So the corner kick does not lead to anything for Portland, their first big chance.
That's Burke Reese, left central defense, and one of his weapons is the ability to drive the ball with the left. We've seen some great diagonal crossing balls from him to change the point. That one very direct. He's capable of playing it vertical or just opening up and switching.
Good touch in again for Jones-Riley. And then Mora flipped it ahead, knocked off his foot. And Parks all the way back to collect. They've tried that right side a few times already, Glenn. Looks to be the spot they're looking to attack here in this first quarter hour or so. It's now Rodriguez. Bit too much on that. Not sure if he was looking for Jones on the run, who appeared to be onside, if could have found him. It's a heavy challenge there. Draws the whistle on Chara, the captain.
Well, the right side attack for Portland, the emphasis on that makes a little sense in terms of the overlapping that you've been describing between Jones-Riley and Moreno. Eric Miller on the left at the back is less of an attacking fullback. He's going to be more staying at home. Anthony, if he gets a little space, he's an interesting player on the left. That's another player that Dave Vandenberg yesterday, the Portland assistant, described as, well, he compared him to Tajon Buchanan, who Vandenberg had at New England, who is now a member of Inter Milan. Buchanan just tore up MLS, just took it by storm in his last couple of seasons with New England and earned the transfer to Club Brugge, and now he's with Inter Milan. But to be compared, Anthony's, he's got something. And
it's quite the comparison for the 22-year-old.
It sure is. He's 6'1". He's a real rangy winger and tough to deal with in the open field.
Jelenic finds himself on the ground again.
There he is. Anthony right there, pulling up his socks.
So a quarter hour in, the PK goal for New York City FC, the difference. And Glenn, you talked about on Wednesday the importance of getting the attacking midfielder Rodriguez going, as well as Bakrar, and to see Santi, even though it comes off of a PK, to see him find the back of the net a couple of times has to be very promising and important for Nick Cushing's side.
It sure is. And Santi was productive last year, but not to the extent that you would have hoped, and especially when you consider some of the chances created in his area. But he's learned to really set up his teammates in a better way, too, and that's been his primary role since, in essence, replacing Maxi Morales.
The incomparable Maxi Morales.
Well, he's here. He's here working out with the team. He cannot have contact, but he's moving well. He said he's doing agility stuff off the ACL injury, and 36, Maxi still wants it. He'll be a welcome addition when he's healthy.
Yeah, great to see him at the grounds with a chance to take in the scenes. What does it, Glenn, do, even though Maxi can't obviously play, to be able to have that veteran presence around with some of these younger guys to give them some insight, give them some feedback, and be somebody that can really chat with them, as we'll see if Freeze comes out, and he does, to cancel that one out?
Well, you can't measure experience, and especially the kind of experience Maxi's had. I mean, he came to New York City after spending some time with Atalanta in Serie A, where he was a key figure as an attacking midfielder. So playing at that level and being able to come in and share those experiences. And Maxi is a really, really well-respected and liked player on the squad. And you'll see him huddling with young players all the time. I'm sure he and Santi Rodriguez talk every day about the game. And then maybe about where they're going to eat dinner. But
both important conversations,
yeah,
if you ask me. Here's a chance again for New York City. Streaming through Rodriguez. And a good setup there in the run of play, which you like to see. Picked out the far corner, wasn't afraid to have a go. Was given the space to do so as well.
Well, and he scored his goal against San Jose with a first-time shot, but it was in closer, went through the 5-hole of the goalkeeper. This one from the top of the area, and I'm not sure if we're going to get a chance to see it again. Yes, we are. But I think he had time to maybe take a touch and set something else up a little bit better. And you notice he had Malachi Jones by himself to his left. So if Santi Rodriguez receives that ball with an open body, he can have the choice to take the shot on the second touch or just slip Jones through. So I think he was thinking, well, I scored first time the other day.
First half brace. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Hannes Wolf was on the right side as well. As Jones chests it down, then is thumped down, but I believe the flag may have been up prior to that anyway.
So New York City created in an entire match against San Jose 3 chances, 3 quality chances, and that's as far as coming into this match and a goal for New York City as they look to make progress. A team that struggled to score goals a season ago, it's creating more chances. And so far, I think they've taken a step in a good direction.
Yeah, they've definitely been on the front foot for a bit of this first 20 minutes, you could argue. The goal included.
And I think it should be noted, Jake, that these two teams are in completely different rhythms of preseason. This is only the second scrimmage for Portland, and they haven't played. They've had 2 intra-squads after a scrimmage very early on when they were training in Florida. They were in Arizona. So this is their first Coachella game. They're going to play on the 14th and then the 17th. New York City is departing on the 14th. And so they're a little bit behind. They're not going to play their initial 11 as many minutes as New York City will today. So keep that in mind, too, as you observe this.
Well read and intercepted there as Parks deked at it. Finds O'Toole. Jones. The ball at his feet. Malachi Jones. O'Toole. Parks.
I'd like to see Jones try to take it around the left edge and draw Kamal Miller, the central defender, towards him, and now he can slip a pass.
Sands. Try to feed it wide for Wolf, but
that's the one thing on the this modern winger playing the right wing who has a dominant left and the left wing who has a dominant right. Those players tend to be more reluctant to go around the edge, take it around the outside, get to the byline, unless they're more two-footed. But if they're really dominant one way or the other, Hannes Wolf, very dominant left. I don't think you've called his name yet. He's on the right wing to start here for New York City. And again, he hasn't been in for very long, so he's just getting started with New York City in essence, so maybe still feeling his way.
In those inverted wingers, is it harder to find those pockets as well? Because you have to basically put yourself in a really good position to strike if that's the intent of it.
Well, those half spaces sometimes, though, are very difficult to defend. Who steps? Which back steps to you? Does a midfielder slide over? And then it creates space for others. So one thing I think we'll see eventually from Hannes Wolf is he'll find those pockets, because one thing he can do is receive, turn, and run at the back 4.
Moreno tried to feed that one through. Still loose in front, Moreno. Stepping stride for stride. They'll feed it wide. Mora blocked. Emergency defending there in the end. I think it was Risa that came over to cancel that one out after Mora found himself staring down the goal.
It was Risa. Now he's down. I'm not sure what the ailment is.
Well,
No
Sands
foul
was
call.
claiming for a foul there. Took that at point-blank range, probably saved a goal.
Well, I think we can predict exactly what he is going through there. I'm sure he'll be able to shake that off. And
a couple of deep breaths.
well, when you get hit in the midsection or just below it, it's stressful.
Jones-Riley throws that in. Quick step to it. Williamson couldn't get a one-timer away.
Great to see Eric Williamson back as a full-time player and coming off a very major injury, and which curtailed his progress with the U.S. men's national team. But here starting, that's a great sign. Dave Vandenberg yesterday said he's training full each day, and they're going to be careful with him, but all signs are very positive that he's in full health.
Yeah, that's great news. Several players start to return from international duty as well, and getting ready for even more of it coming up soon, so there's plenty of club and country duty here this time of year. Stepping through Bakrar. Wolf sent the insert across, cleared away. '25th minute. Jones. Rodriguez trying to turn the corner, couldn't quite get there. But a good switch of the field. Now Parks will set it wide for O'Toole. Keaton Parks shakes off a defender nicely, finds Rodriguez. Rolls it over for O'Toole. O'Toole. Jones. Tried to get it back to O'Toole. Didn't have much on it, though, and intercepted, but another good build-up.
Oh, good recovery defensively. That's what you have to do. Ball played past you, and I couldn't pick out the player, but recovered hard, got to his spot, and that prevented the return pass from connecting. So those little moments of effort. Williamson playing next to Diego Chara in the midfield, and man, what a legend in a Portland uniform he is. 37 years old, first DP in Timbers history. And I kidded, he's got a lot of yellow cards in his career. He's a tough customer. Wonderful, delightful guy off the field. Beloved by the Portland community and his teammates, coaches. Smart player, though, so he'd probably do okay with a blue card. I think he would understand. There's Eric Miller, former executive member of the Major League Soccer Players Association. He was very, very much involved in the last negotiating go-round, where the threat of a strike was real, and players feel like they did better this time than 5 years earlier.
Moreno feeds it through for a one-timer. Anthony. Not sure if that was intended as a pass to the back post for Mora. It almost worked out that way. Forces the defense to clear it out for a corner.
So Anthony makes a slicing run from the left side of the field to the right. Those are hard to defend. So
you watch it again.
So those angled runs, and that's where you need as a defender to get a piece of him just to disrupt the rhythm of it. Neither player did for New York City.
The corner sent right back from where it came from. Towards the edge of the box.
So for New York City, we talked about the risk earlier that they're going to press higher up the pitch, commit more numbers in that area to try to win the ball back and create more chances, but it will also on the counter potentially create more quality chances for the opponent. Therefore, that risk could lead to goals. Goals are going to be surrendered by New York City when you're going to look at it and go like, oh, but you have to weigh that with what is created and then finished, and that's the finishing touch is what they're trying to really get comfortable with in preseason.
Off the free kick restart, angle to the top of the box. Moreno leaves it off, a chip in front. This all the way back. Set wide, Anthony. Squares it in, lofted over the top. And then out for another corner.
So James Sands got to the spot on that cutback, was able to cut it off, knocked it out for the corner, but also prevented an opportunity in front of goal for Portland.
Here comes the insert. Headed away easily. The release, not quite as simple. Portland did well to challenge that on the high press, and now will recover possession all the way back as far as their keeper.
Well, off that corner on the defending side, you notice Keaton Parks front post zonally. He won the initial header. He really is very much playing the role of what Tate Castellanos did for New York City when he was here. On the attacking set pieces, corners in particular, Castellanos would run hard to the near post oftentimes. That's where Parks is a lot now. And then defensively, Tati, one of the best defensive headers on set pieces for New York City. And certainly the contribution of Parks will be really important to help limit the set piece goals that were at issue a year ago.
Jones-Riley plays this all the way back. Member of Timbers 2, who had some moments with the top team last year. Now getting a chance to run here in the early stages of preseason for the Timbers.
How about Zach McGraw on the ball there for a moment? The back right central defender played it back to his keeper, Crapo. You'll notice he's very disciplined in the way he plays. Well, he went to West Point.
That'll do it. What a ball that is from Crapo. Sets up a chance to build quickly. Anthony. Jones-Riley. For the back post. Just a bit too tall.
Again, getting in on the right side, of it, as you've described earlier, Jake. Back to West Point for a moment. I coached teams against West Point teams, and the one thing they always were was fit. Pretty accurate on that as Jones-Riley, college player out of the University of Dayton. You've got McGraw, West Point. You've got Kamal Miller, Syracuse University. Eric Miller, Minnesota. So you got 4 collegians starting in that back 4. Don't often see that in MLS. Four players that played college ball.
Yeah, not current collegians.
Not current
to be
or
clear.
not just out, but
come from the college pedigree.
Jones-Riley's 22, Kamal Miller, Zach McGraw 26, Eric Miller 31.
Looking to build through the midfield now.
Now here's where New York City will calculate the pressure. Notice they couldn't win the ball initially, so they have dropped off to, it's very important that the line, each line is close to one another. That is the forward line, midfield, back line, and the keeper line.
Jones-Riley chips this over the top. Well weighted ball there, at least to ask questions of that New York back line.
Well, what happens there when Marino checks down on that right side, Kevin O'Toole goes with him, and then the recognition to just put a little dink over the top into that space. And that's one of the more difficult chores of a fullback, is knowing when to close. And if you go too early, so normally you want to hold and wait for the ball to be played and then close down, and then you don't get extended on that space.
McGraw will just set this back. Crepeau with another good ball ahead. Anthony on it. Anthony gets it back. Anthony taken down. Danger not fully cleared away. Chara slides it back through Williamson. Now from the left wing. A good sliding tackle. Going to ground and prying possession away just outside the penalty area. This will be a well-weighted ball, forcing Freeze off his line. Would have been close for the AR, but Freeze takes no chances.
Well read by Freeze. Athletic off his line. Felipe Mora bearing down. Good goal scorer, Mora. He reads that last line, and he's been dangerous in his 5 seasons with Portland.
Now here's a probing ball, hoping for Malachi Jones on the back end. Ambitious, would you say?
Yeah, it's pretty windy here. I don't know. At times, maybe you can see the corner flag and understand the velocity, but that was into the wind, so it kind of hung up. There you can see that corner flag over there. It's whipping around pretty with some vigor.
It's been windy all day here. Saw that play a role in the Charlotte FC 1-0 victory over San Jose. There's a foul here. Evander was held up, and that'll set up a opportunity here.
Well, this is an area where he'll take a strike. It's going to be it would have to be so delicate to hit it over the top of the wall. Now, Portland could play a pick and free a player to run laterally across, but this is normally going to be from this distance, and for a player who could strike the ball like Evander. Evander in the 1-1 draw last year at Portland, he scored from just outside the top of the area in the run of play. It was a wonderful goal past Freeze.
Evander has a go. Freeze has to stretch up, and as you mentioned, Glenn, it would take a lot to beat that wall. He found a pocket, but Freeze was ready.
He beat Freeze to the other side last year, to Freeze left with that goal he scored. Keaton Parks, by the way, scored the other. New York City was down a goal, 1-0 in Portland.
Look out here. After a giveaway, Mora. Defense recovers for now. Evander. Thought he had earned a corner kick. Referee says nothing doing.
One of the interesting notes here, Phil Neville, now the new coach at Portland. Nick Cushing, New York City FC. They are both very good friends. Nick coached his son in England at Man City in one of the youth academies. So they've known each other a very long time, and Nick has the utmost respect of Phil Neville. And Neville sacked by Inter Miami. Part of managing, unfortunately, is that's the way it goes sometimes. Although,
yeah, they say timing is everything.
Well, there's varying figures and points of analysis about the job that Neville did there. He was managing that team under some very difficult times, and they qualified for the playoffs in 2022, which was really a quality effort from a management standpoint, considering what they were dealing with.
Here's Sands rambling through the midfield. It's a great shot by our camera crew, too, to see the mountains in the backdrop in this beautiful setting.
I saw that.
Coachella Valley Invitational, Indio, California.
I don't know about you, but I've been looking at that the whole time I've been here. It's just, it's astonishing.
Now the question is, have you gone hiking up the mountains yet?
Not yet.
Okay, there's plenty of
but
time
I'm
left.
going to go to Joshua Tree National Forest.
Okay.
That's where I've been told I can get a good hike in, and it's not too far away, about an hour away. I just have to find a day to do it. I think it's coming up. I might be up there during the Super Bowl. I mean, I guess that's sacrilege, but I got to figure out a time.
Is that the only time you can find a pocket where you're not interviewing a coach? Or
yeah, that's kind of what's going on because a lot of teams are taking off tomorrow. I think the Super Bowl may have something to do with it.
We've got a couple of games coming your way here from day 3 tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. There are 2 games tomorrow. I forgot about that. You're doing them. I'm not. So
New York City FC is not one of them, so understood.
No.
But both LA teams in action tomorrow. The Galaxy, the morning shift. And then LAFC at high noon as your appetizer, if you will.
So New York City will normally just play this short and then try to build something that will create a chance. And there's the half space with Hannes Wolf.
Wolf found it. Parks couldn't quite get to it after the deflection. Now Moreno. What looked like perhaps a good piece of defending instead turns into a booking.
Oh, that was a cynical foul hit. That was on purpose. I don't know if that would have been a blue card worthy, but but back at the other end, there's that pocket that Hannes Wolf. So he just slid inside a little bit, found the pocket, received it, turned in one motion, and he probably is not coordinated enough with his teammates quite yet in order to connect with that one cleanly at the end, but that's a good sign for New York City.
Here's a foot race down the right flank. New York City FC is on. In for Rodriguez. Rodriguez chips it to the middle. Jones gets a touch to it. Keeps the possession for a moment. Now O'Toole. Play it wide for Parks. Directs traffic. Waiting for O'Toole instead. Into the middle of the box. Back to Parks. Tried to go Meg. Can't quite squeeze it through. Sands. O'Toole. New York City drawing numbers forward. Parks. Flag is up. Good connection of passes there, but
and Hannes Wolf in the midst of it.
Late.
No, he was in the midst of it, and just earlier had connected with Santi Rodriguez as well. So he'll grow with each moment. And also, you look at Keaton Parks. We've seen him drift out to the right. We've seen him drift out to the left. And the reason he can do that is because James Sands is one of the strongest holding midfielders in MLS. And he'll sit and stay at home. And if there is a counter, he's very willing to do the dirty work to break it up.
It's nice to have that safety blanket. As here's Williamson. Final few minutes of this first half. It was a penalty kick goal for Santi Rodriguez. That is the difference thus far. Perhaps a chance to add to it here. But Portland recovers nicely, keeps their shape. Williamson checks off with McGraw. There's a couple of youngsters going at it. Malachi Jones takes the ball away from Jones Riley. Sands switches. Strong defending. It's Kamal Miller. Used his size to really earn that possession, then draws a foul.
Yeah, very important pickup for Portland. Kamal Miller, highly regarded. I've often said I've watched him play a lot, and Ian McIntyre, good friend, coached him at Syracuse University, thinks very highly of him. 41 caps for the Canadian men's national team, and but in MLS, there's always that one moment that it might not go well for him. He's a very composed player, but in a 90-minute match, at some point you'll normally see something that gets picked off near his goal.
Jones-Riley plays this through. Mora's cross blocked. Jones dumped. Referee will play the advantage. New York FC on the run anyway.
But Miller is a massive figure at the back, strong in the air, good pace, and you saw him before how he could hold it up and draw the foul in a situation where you're not always going to see a center back be able to hold such good possession.
Another opportunity where you thought Jones might put that burst on there, but chooses not to. Perhaps the difference between starting and coming in for the last 20, 25 minutes.
Interesting with these two playing at this point of the season, New York City's home opener is against Portland on March the 9th. So in less than a month, they're going to play again. Here's one for you. That game's at Yankee Stadium. Portland, all-time series, is 3-0 against New York City at Yankee Stadium, which is pretty impressive because New York City's been dominant in the Bronx. And all 3 wins were 1-0, clean sheets for Portland.
Yeah, they had a good showing at home last year. Their troubles was when they left Yankee Stadium. There's a little bit of a slip up here. But able to recover and see Martins and Parks on your screen.
Well, there aren't many New York City players. If you look at their 11 that were played in that 2021 MLS Cup final, New York City defeating Portland in penalties. Parks was on the roster, but he was out injured. Sands played. Santi Rodriguez played. And that's it.
That's it for the first half, it appears, as well. As we have hit halftime, 45 minutes in the books. Santi Rodriguez converted the penalty. And that is all the scoring to tell you about through the first half of action. Halftime here in Indio, California. NYCFC 1, Portland nothing. Second half action coming your way here from Indio, California, the 2024 Coachella Valley Invitational. As we welcome you back, Jake Levy, Glenn Crooks here with you. New York City FC with a 1-0 lead over Portland after 45 minutes. A Santi Rodriguez penalty kick is the difference so far. Looks like both teams keeping relatively the same lineup as the second half gets underway. Glenn, we expected New York City to stretch some of those starters a little bit further today. Be interesting to see quite how far they can go with the Portland side playing in just their second preseason match.
Yeah, they'll be making more early moves here second half as we try to sort it all out. We see certainly some players that are out to begin the second half that were in the 11 for Portland, and New York City I think is straight up same 11, which is what we expected. Hannes Wolf, he may be the first one to depart. Wolf on the right side is going to be limited to 60 minutes today.
Yeah, we saw Claudio Bravo, a defender, check in for Portland. There will be other changes to tell you about as well, but first to tell you about the build-up for New York City here as Sands plays this through. Angled ball across, cleared away. This centered in front, chipped over the top. Now Jones will build up on the far wing. Touch through. Rodriguez shedding tacklers. Now back the other way. Here comes Anthony for Mora. And good defending in the end.
Well, Thiago Martins, he does have that extra gear. He's undergone 2 ACLs in his career, and at one point was an absolute blazer at the back, could never be beat. He's regained a good portion of that right there. He tracked down Felipe Mora. Mora is not the fastest in the league. But Martins isolated there. You saw on the counter, the numbers were very good for Portland. Martins made up for it.
So now New York City will build. And we saw those overlapping runs, Glenn, from Portland in the first half, utilizing that right wing fairly pronounced. Looked like New York City a bit more varied in their attacking style. They had a couple of sequences of really good pass connection, which has to make Nick Cushing happy as well.
But one thing you're seeing early on, a point of emphasis at halftime, I'm assuming, was the ability to change the point of attack a little more fluidly so you have the opportunity to create some overloads on the weak side. We saw it a moment ago as Ilinic received the ball, opened up. It appeared like he had a ball that he could have curled into the channel, but maybe no runners at the time. Here's another change and overhit out of play, but you can tell that's the intent of New York City.
There you see Jaden Jones-Riley. He was heavily involved in the overlapping runs that we talked about. But a lot of the same players out there for Portland here, so getting a chance to stretch their legs despite being very early in their preseason. On Wednesday, we saw a lot of hour mark mass substitutions, so we'll keep an eye on that in 10 minutes or so.
And you see what New York City is doing. They're playing shorter passes that they're entering into the midfield area. Santi Rodriguez at times, Keaton Parks at times, and then playing right back to the person who delivered it, and then they have the ability to move it right or left depending on the numbers. And that's one of the ways New York City right now is moving the ball.
The newcomer Miller splits the middle. Trying to hold up Mora. And this taken away from Chara, but done so with a foul.
The referee has permitted contact in certain situations where he has not blown the whistle. I think we said at the top of the broadcast, it appears that the potential strike by the referees in MLS has been averted. Apparently, they're in a voting situation now, the union, to see if they approve. The executive committee of the union has suggested it's a good enough deal. Now the membership has to vote. So we'll await that. So maybe Monday morning we'll wake up and we'll know that we have referees for the MLS season. Which, by the way, if they did strike, that would impact USL. That would impact lower level leagues because these referees have to come from somewhere. So right. Very much a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, big news for all of professional soccer in the United States, which gets started here in the next few weeks across the board.
Well, imagine 14 games on the first weekend, right? You need 6 officials for every game because you're talking about VAR, AVAR, and
are you going to ask me to
so
do
what's
math,
6
Glenn?
times 14?
I knew you were going to ask me to do math. That old college coach in you. You can't just leave
84,
the academics
is it
out of it.
84 or 80? Yeah, I think it's 84. So you need 84 people. Now, you'll probably have people doing multiple things, but that's going to be tough too. 11 of those games are on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. I believe I have that right. So the whole situation would be a nightmare.
Certainly one that MLS and everyone in the professional soccer world would like to avoid if possible. As while we were breaking that down, Mounsef Bakrar was flagged for the offside that halted that last build-up by New York City.
Well, Portland's done a good job on Bakrar. He is, as New York City is looking to improve on chances created, and a lot of that will be a contribution from the striker in one way or another, whether they check back into the midfield and connect, or whether they run the channels and get it. And that's normally what Bakrar is doing. He's trying to either run in behind, run at angles, and he's been curtailed thus far.
Now can Portland build something off of this as Anthony gets rolling. Steaming ahead 1v1, centers it. Good find for Evander. And it forces Freeze into the diving stop. So there's Anthony and Evander combining to create some dangerous opportunity.
And that's the first time in this match where we've seen Anthony, and you can see he's 6'1", he's very lean, pretty fun to watch on the run. And you see Thiago Martins, though, moving his feet defensively, really did well. And Martins, instead of permitting Anthony maybe to go to the inside or the outside, really balanced his defending, and that forced a square ball. Pretty good take from Evander, but Matt Freeze very comfortable on the save.
Bodies came together there, and Malachi Jones, the draft pick, got into it with a savvy veteran perhaps, and he's shown a yellow card for the coming together.
There you go. Maybe you should get that yellow card after the game, get it framed. His first yellow card as a professional player. Well, he deserved it.
Yep. Sure did. As Evander, see, he pulled the arm. Pretty heavy shove there for the yellow. Definitely wasn't a cheap one.
And the exaggeration on the tumble by Evander. Wore 20 last year. He's wearing the number 10 this season. I think exaggerations should also be penalized, and sometimes they are. Little question.
We did see an embellishment booked in our first match on Field 1 today.
All right.
So it does happen.
That was a tough one, though.
Yeah. Anthony again. And that took a deflection. Freeze tried to save it. It'll be a corner opportunity here for Portland.
Corner defending very solid thus far in Coachella for New York City. Here's the short corner.
They go quick. Evander into the penalty area. Cuts it back in front. Jones will clear it away.
I make that point because New York City really struggled defensively on corners, in particular early in the season.
Williamson lofts it into the box. Yeah, we talked about that on Wednesday. You'll remember Matt Freese had to make a pretty impressive save off the first corner opportunity. Then after that, there really wasn't much that we saw San Jose earn off of those set pieces, so that was good to see them shore things up.
And supporters were a little stressed in the very first scrimmage. We only saw highlights. There was no stream, but the goals scored in the 1-0 win by Barcelona of Guayaquil, Ecuador, was off a corner that was pretty poorly defended.
Here's Mora. They'll try it again from midfield. It looks like Portland, after trying those overlapping runs as basically their plan of attack in the first half, they've gotten a little bit more varied here in the second half, Glenn. Looks like the offense growing into the game a little bit.
Well, that's the way it is in preseason. Every portion of every half you play, at least you hope there will be more coordination, better movement off the ball, and
Evander sends it far side, looking for Moreno.
Oh, Moreno brought that down nicely. Good touch, but then couldn't control once he got it down to the ground.
It'll stay with Portland. Throw in stolen away, though. Jones ahead. Evander tripped up. And the whistle will come. Parks doesn't like it. But Evander again drawing a foul. Getting into the mix of things. And sets up a fairly dangerous spot. That wind, the way it's been blowing today, though, makes these long-range attempts even trickier than they usually are.
Well, you wind the tape back 30 seconds. Bakrar had drifted to the wide left area to receive the ball, and his first touch got away from him. Portland wins the ball back, and then there's a foul. So if Bakrar handles the first touch better, maybe New York City maintains possession, then doesn't give up this foul.
It'll be Evander. Chips it in. Well defended. Williamson, another entrance. A little tricky on the bounce there, and it finds its way to Miller. Leaves it left side for Moreno. To the back post, header on, and Portland has struck to equalize. The long-range cross, and the back post wide open for the finish. Portland is level here in just shy of the hour mark.
Well, that's the second time in as many games that New York City has first allowed a service, didn't deny it, and then a goal scored at the back post.
You watch here again as Moreno, acres of space on the back end, look like Mora, who was there to finish it off for Portland, and we are level 1 hour in.
Well, it's really, considering the time that Moreno had to receive it, tee it up, and serve it, no denial of service, and organization defensively in the box, poor for New York City, as Mora was all by himself.
Parks quickly trying to answer. They tried the return pass to him. That deflected away. So we'll see how that sparks Portland a bit here. Mentioned how they had been starting to get a little bit more varied in their attack. It started to build more and more.
Well, there was Kikinovic, who scored for San Jose at the back post. Remember, New York City had gone up 1-0. Then they trailed 2-1, and then they managed to level the match 2-2 on the Rodriguez goal. All those goals in that opening game on Wednesday scored the first half. Ilinic commits the foul.
Yeah, we saw a couple of pretty good goals from San Jose. The long-range take by Paul Marie, and then the Espinoza cross that found Kikanovic on the back post for the easy header. But you're right, that Kikanovic goal, very similar in terms of its development. As Evander.
Look, it's a good finish by Mora. Jake got up well, timed it, hit it firm past Freeze. Little question about it, but it's uncontested. A professional footballer who's a striker should finish that. And it's one that will be here in preseason, something to understand and learn on the New York City side of things, how that could have been better defended.
There'll be a foul, and Chara will likely go into the book. The referee pointing out several infractions that have led to the yellow card being shown to Diego Chara.
Wow, that's one I don't have in front of me. I wonder if that is listed anywhere, the number of yellow cards in his career. But he's in a position, he's always played that defensive midfield role. He's a very tough player. He knows when to put it on to cut off the counterattacks. And Chara's he's just one of the best. He's one of the best in MLS annals at that position.
So from the midfield, a restart. Jones was giving it a look, but that hops in on him.
And there, a little past the hour mark, Andres Jason has come in for Hannes Wolf. So Wolf a little bit more effective today. Didn't show much in the half hour on Wednesday. Certainly a little bit of rust, but started connecting at times in the final third to try to create things for New York City FC.
Well, Glenn, ask and answer according to the always.
You got Febref.
According to Football Reference, the ever reliable 113 yellow cards.
All right.
It's a dangerous chance.
How many games? You have the games up?
In 367 matches, so about one every 3.
One every 3?
See, I can do math too.
I know you can. That means that means you're suspended at least twice a season from yellow card accumulation.
Well, in 2019, he picked up 12 of them.
Well, the older you get, there's probably more. I mean, if you look at each year, there's probably a steady increase.
Start using all the tools you have at your avail.
Yeah, Football Reference is fantastic.
And you mentioned Jason coming on. He gave New York City FC some really good run for about an hour in the game on Wednesday too, Glenn. As Rodriguez plays this forward. And a trip up.
A little thing there going unnoticed. Santi Rodriguez, he took the defender in one direction and then put himself in between two defenders in a pocket to receive the ball so that he could turn and then play that entrance, foul drawn. If New York City gets anything out of this, it's that little movement by Santi Rodriguez that will have proven to pave the way for this.
Puts him in a fairly dangerous spot for the free kick. As Krepau sets his wall.
Floated in, and you can see that vicious wind. Carried it right into the hands of Roman Berkey. That's when you knew that.
Standstill chip over the top. Had a runner in behind.
A runner that did not want to collide with the goalkeeper. I think that was Burke Risa. And I'm a proponent of do not commit some sort of physical activity, especially when you know you're the starting left central defender. No one's taking that away from him. Why sacrifice your body in that moment? But that's what it would have taken, and just saying.
Especially in a preseason game?
Yeah. I'm not sure if Burke Risa or Nick Cushing would agree with me, but I'm just suggesting that could have been a greater effort to get a piece of that.
Yeah, and
but
sometimes
you're
discretion is the better side of valor.
You're definitely going to collide. There's definitely going to be a collision.
Portland wants the tug there. I thought Martins impeded Anthony. Referee says play on.
Oh, he had a tug and a handling. Maybe he determined that it was simultaneous.
Jones leaves it off, looking for the return pass. And Miller comes over to boot it away. Feels like they've made a concerted effort to get Malachi Jones involved in this one in the offensive end.
Well, he's a very interesting player and has just an unbelievable story. He wears the number 88. There's a couple of reasons that is the case. One is that he's got 6 brothers and a sister. There's 8 of them. And they were in an orphanage in Sierra Leone and were adopted by a family in North Carolina. Those are their parents. And they ended up going to a school in that area, going to college at Lipscomb for Malachi Jones. But it's just a remarkable story of the sacrifice of this family. And he was drafted as the number 8 pick overall. And I think I'm forgetting I think there's 4 components of 88, but those are 2 of them. And
well, just that part's a fantastic story in itself.
Can you imagine? 8 children.
Here he is, leaving it wide for Ilovich. And touch lets him down a bit as Lenich came on the other side, but couldn't angle it back towards goal.
And he just had a younger brother, Isaiah, who's 17 years old, signed with Nashville in their, I believe, MLS Next Pro. And so he'll be on their 2 team. He's got an older brother who maybe arrived in the country a little bit past the prime, if you will. But there's a funny story about him, too. But I'll wait.
Here goes Evander in the meantime. Anthony, top of the box. Evander tried to get it back to Anthony, who slipped up.
Well, that's either a foul on Ilinich or a dive by Anthony. It's got to go one way or the other. So, and if it's a dive, you book it.
We'll see if the referee comes back to it when the ball deadens.
Well, that could be. I hope he does. Just that's the sort of thing that needs to be booked, and players get fined in MLS. We see that every week in the disciplinary announcements. Players fined for embellishment, and that's a good thing.
Ilinich, good ball there. Then unlucky, bounced up and hit him in the hand. He'll play on, though. Flip it out wide. Try to find Mora. Back for Evander. Too many blue jerseys in the way that time. Runs all the way back. Jara. And that ran out for a throw along the far side.
So Malachi Jones' older brother, because I spoke to the high school coach of both his older brother and Malachi, and he told the story of when they first arrived. When they were in Sierra Leone, they played all their soccer barefoot with a ball that they constructed. I mean, they were really in an underserved area. And when he was so used to playing soccer barefoot that when they first started training for the high school team, he asked the coach if he could take the shoes off and play barefoot. Because, no, you have to get used to these cleats.
Better for him in the long run, I'd imagine.
Well, just really unbelievable stuff. And it's you talk about considering what you're grateful for each day, then you hear this story and
Ilinich gives it away. Evander waiting for running mates. Squeezed off the ball, but a bump and a foul.
Well, you're getting into a portion of the game now where probably every player for New York City FC is logging more consecutive minutes than they have at any point during preseason. Bit of a lazy pass from Ilinich. maybe a late tackle there leading to the foul, which will occur sometimes when you're starting to get a little weary.
Yeah, and Sands and Jason were both in the area. Now Moreno with Evander just behind him. Moreno leaves. It'll be Evander. That time the contact once again avoided, perhaps a bit by the effort of Freeze to lift the hands out of the way.
Well, I'll tell you, if that was Jason who came in late, he shouldn't be exhausted. He's only been out there for 9 minutes.
They were just both in the area. Martins.
But it's important to get 90 minutes under your belt. You know, the season's February 24th. What's today? The 10th? So exactly 2 weeks
away.
from today.
Right.
So you'd, there is such a thing as game fitness. It's not imaginary. It's real, and you really have to condition your body, not just for 90 minutes, but I think the average game is 97 now, because added time is, has become a little bit more particular and exacting.
They've made a conscious effort to be as close to exact as they can. Jones tried to check it off. They'll have to circle all the way back, try again. A little hand checking there. And finally the whistle looks like.
Yeah, Keaton Parks was befuddled. Not sure why it was called on him, but I think there was contact early on. You see he's still appealing a bit. Saw Kevin O'Toole kind of set that up. O'Toole's very comfortable when he gets into that attacking third. He's Princeton, he was Ivy League Offensive Player of the Year, partly as a forward, partly as an attacking midfielder, so he's comfortable in that role, but still trying to find his way in consistently and also coming up with more accurate service this year. That's one of his goals, as he talked about that, and continuing to learn the defensive side.
Here's a look for Mora. And another setup.
Well, there's 6 blue shirts there and only 2, maybe 3 green. So that's where, and I think it was Thiago Martins, the captain, who kind of raised his arms and looked at everybody and go like, we need to be more organized here. So the service and the shot, I would venture to say, all right, if you get the service off, but a clean shot,
yeah, Mora
not considering the numbers, it shouldn't have happened.
Had a good look at goal as well. Just sent it high. Chance to put Portland in front. Nice back heel. Tried to get Jones through. They'll have to circle back and try it again.
And that was Burke Riesa, who played a very nice ball into that channel for Baccarat to run on to. Jones is there. New York City gets a throw in out of it. But that sort of service again from the left center back with the left peg is something that has been absent for New York City in 2023.
And a matter of fact, it looks like Tyler Magno has checked into the match in that spot as well. So it was Magno who had the chance on the return pass.
Yeah, so Magno's in
that spot.
Yep. Yeah, Jones is out, and that was the plan as well. Keaton Parks will go about 75 today, and Justin Hack will enter the game. That is also the plan. Sometimes those things get adjusted as the game continues, but Parks, remember, he's had 2 major surgeries in each of the last 2 years, so he's...
Magno kept that in play. Well done just to do that. Well-placed header. And the foul will break things up. Here's Parks. Perhaps towards the end of his run for the day. So Rodriguez leaves it wide. Magno slips past the defender, but did so illegally, it appears. He's got his arms to the side, wondering why the whistle came on that play as he shed the defender.
Is there a game winner here?
We got 15 minutes to find out, Glenn.
2-2 draw on Wednesday with San Jose. Now 1-1. This was the result last year in Portland. Felipe Mora scoring for Portland today. He's the guy that scored the very, very late stoppage time equalizer in the MLS Cup to force it into extra time and then eventually penalties. Good headed finish here today. Uncontested.
Yeah, Santiago Moreno set it up. That was just shy of the hour mark after a first half penalty kick that gave New York City the lead. But New York City has taken the early lead in both matches here at the Coachella Valley Invitational. See if they can pull away with a result as well. As they get the ball here in a dangerous spot. Good idea on the pass through, but intercepted at the last moment. As you get a look at Anthony, he's been heavily involved in this second half in particular. He and Evander have had some nice build-up play, some good combinations. And there you see the shift change coming as Portland will make a host of changes with a quarter hour to go.
James Pantemis coming in to goal, it looks like. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll do our best to bring you some changes as we have them.
Tavon Gray for Micha Ilinic on the New York City side.
Dario Sabaric coming in. Tega Ikoba as well. Among a host of others.
Alonso Martinez. Nick Cushing suggested, had a little briefing with him before the game, that Martinez may be the reserve number 9 today. And indeed, a guy who has shown a propensity to really finish cleanly in training. Hasn't had much opportunity with the first team. Came in last year in the summer.
Also see David Ayala in for Portland. As a spin along the near side. Fagosha. Spin it all the way back. Zaparic. Ayala.
Jason was off and running. And that foul prevented what would have been a probably numbers up counter for New York City. It might have even gone 4 versus 3. Here you see, he just reads the touch. And
yeah, if he had earned possession there, it would have been a foot race the other way, it feels like. Or at least options to set something up. Sands. See if somebody can find the moment. Gray tries to play it forward. He gave New York City good minutes on Wednesday as well. It's a heavy challenge there. And again, it's Jason a little worse for wear.
Jason has moved into a little bit more of a central role in the absence of Keaton Parks, who is what was a planned substitution. Not seeing Justin Hack. Or we do, yeah, Hack is there. Forgive me.
Just over 10 minutes to go.
Hack is tying his long hair back this year. It's making it making him unrecognizable at times.
The visual clues have to be relearned.
Yeah. Hack, one of the homegrowns who, as I mentioned on Wednesday's telecast, it's a guy that hasn't gotten real consistent playing time over his years with New York City, but is extremely valuable because of his versatility. And when he does play, it generally provides good results for New York City.
One of the 6 homegrowns that we're seeing here in Indio, California.
He and Sands, a couple of homegrowns, now playing together in the midfield.
Here's a build-up. The referee will play advantage. Gray. His insert headed away. Gray. Jason. Jason trying to deke away, is yanked down, and we'll see if there's something more in this. Doesn't appear so. Sands. Jason. And now a chance to counter here.
So that free kick, now sometimes you'll take a quick free kick in that situation if you feel like you have Portland or the defending team unbalanced. But there were a lot of numbers back for Portland, and that's from an angle that's very difficult for the goalkeeper. I would have preferred that dead ball for New York City to just settle, get a rehearsed play out of it. That's where you could set a pick, get somebody free, whether it's at the front post or the back post, but also a curling ball behind the D in front of the keeper. From that angle where that free kick could have been or was, it can be very difficult for the keeper to deal with.
Here goes Sands. Given space to build a little bit higher here. Rodriguez leaves this ahead. Chance inside and scrambling to defend. Portland recovers. But a well-weighted ball there to make things difficult. Now this batted down by Gray. And New York City once again in possession in a dangerous area. Centering ball for Sands. Chips it towards the back post. Rodriguez steps it down. Then a bump. And that'll draw the whistle.
Well, there's an example of what looked like a massive opportunity for New York City FC, yet it wasn't completed. And remember, the goal leading into this game is to add on to and enhance the ability to create goals. And I don't have stats in front of me that would dictate that, but I don't recall many big chances in this match for New York City FC.
Yeah, you get another look. Here's the step down and then Fogaza run into on the back end. Perhaps a chance to build here, though. No.
Or if we call that a big chance, maybe we say the final pass was not executed.
Yeah, Rodriguez was definitely in an advantageous position. Gray. Martins will switch it. Well controlled through traffic. A couple of green jerseys come together.
Well, there's Kevin O'Toole with a little dink over the defender, one-on-one.
And again, Hack was lunging for it.
So chances, they could be created individually, they could be created as a unit.
It was well done initially by Rodriguez, and
bit of a sense of frustration.
And now the yellow card will be brandished to Rodriguez. Not sure if it's for the foul itself or for the conversation and antics afterwards.
Well, I would say 99% certainty it's the descent yellow. But I'll leave the 1% as a...
So you're saying there's a chance. Into the wind. Well defended by the blue jerseys that time. Flag will be up here.
And that's Alonso Martinez, and he is a guy that can run the channels for New York City and came in to the club as a winger. There's a sense that maybe on the wing, because of Ojeda coming in and those players that are already present, that it might be tough for him to get into any sort of rotation there. So part of the reason he's the 9 today in a reserve role behind Monsef Bakrar is just for that reason.
Portland trying to build. Less than 5 minutes remaining in our level match to this point. A goal in the first half for New York City, a goal in the second for Portland. Does somebody have a tiebreaker here in the later stages? We saw Portland with the bulk of the attacking chances in the early portion of this second half that led to the goal. Since the equalizer, really haven't seen anything overly dangerous, Glenn, on either side.
No, I don't recall either keeper. Now we've got Pantomis in for Crepo, but Freeze is still in for New York City all the way. I don't recall, as you said, since those 2 goals, the keepers being tested in any manner. Freeze made a save, but it was pretty comfortable off of Evander.
Yeah, that came off of a free kick where you called it, try to pick out over the wall. Into the box. Lifted over the top. Fogaza. Can't tight rope the end line, and nothing will come of that either. So still plenty of opportunity at this Coachella Valley Invitational for the Portland Timbers. They've got 2 matches left after this one. Timbers will take on San Jose on the 14th, and then Chicago Fire on the 17th. Meanwhile, New York City getting their task in early. They'll wrap up on Wednesday, taking on the Galaxy. Noon start locally.
Chicago Fire have added a striker, Hugo Kuipers, and they're poised to announce Kelvin Acosta. The paperwork has to be completed. I know he's had his medical, and the announcement will likely come soon from Chicago, and that's certainly going to be a big bonus for their midfield.
They couldn't get that before tomorrow? When they take on LAFC?
I don't think by tomorrow. When is their next match? The 17th? What day of the week is that? Next Saturday?
Yeah, maybe
they might have him for that.
There's
a chance they'll have him for that.
The storyline of having him here in time for an LAFC match would have been lovely.
Well, San Jose, since our broadcast on Wednesday, have added 3. They added 1 defender right before that morning of our broadcast. They've added 3 more,
they
as
we
expected.
Goalkeeper, they added a forward, and they added a defender, as you wisely predicted in our broadcast on Wednesday.
Well, they weren't hiding the fact that it was happening, too. So that's really and there's some quality there, too. So it's that part of the season where the transfers are alive is
Magno
one that's
was
always
tripped
looked at
up
by
there.
them.
He was looking for a whistle. Might have been better off to play the advantage. So we're inside about a minute left. Plus any added time here down the stretch to see if somebody can find a go-ahead goal.
It's not looking like it.
Neither team has been willing to be overly assertive. And even though, obviously, New York City FC would like to get the result, you do have to say they've got 90 minutes out of a few guys. They were able to.
Those are important considerations.
They were able to get some stretch for Hannes Wolf and some of the other players that have not played quite that much consecutively for them. So certainly a lot of positives there. And then on the Portland side, second preseason match, first one here at Coachella. They went down. They were able to find a goal in the run of play to equalize. And they saw basically 75 minutes for all of their starters, despite being relatively early in their preseason. And the first match of their preseason tournament here at the Coachella Valley has come to a close. There's the whistle for full time. It is 1-0 when it's all said and done. Santi Rodriguez, a penalty kick goal. Felipe Mora, a header to equalize at the hour mark. And that is where we finish things up. Well, Glenn, any big takeaways there other than perhaps some minutes and some stretch for these guys as they wrap up?
Well, the minutes you talked about, there were 6 players for New York City FC that played the full 90 with 2 weeks to go. And that's the high-performance coaches get together with the staff, and they make these decisions ahead of time based on a periodization plan that is extended not just for the first day of preseason, but even prior to that. So they look at things very, very closely. There's Kevin O'Toole. Played the full match at left back. We did not see Christian McFarlane, which is a player that is considered his opposition there, or not opposition, but competition there. And Tavon Gray came in late, and that's one to look at if you're a New York City supporter. Right back, is it Micha Ilinic, or is it Tavon Gray, or is it the choice of Nick Cushing and his staff based on the opponent? Right now, Ilinic has started the first 2 games of the Coachella Invitational.
Coachella Valley Invitational Day 2 in the books. Final score, New York City FC 1, Portland 1. Big thanks to Chase Neidig and our entire crew. For Glenn Crooks, this is Jake Levy saying so long from Indio. Thanks for joining.